And with those opening words, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Robin Miège from the European Commission, who I'm very glad was able to join us today in spite of difficult flying conditions. Please.
Thank you. Good morning, all. It was a bit of a bumpy flight, but I safely landed, and so here I am. I'm very pleased to be here, and I would like to thank the University of Oslo for having invited us in this very lovely place and with a distinguished and prestigious audience. I'll start with an anecdote, a very recent anecdote. I mean, it's not really an anecdote. The day before yesterday, the Commission announced a record 1.7 billion fine against a small number of very large banks that for entering into a cartel and tampering with interest rates. And for curiosity's sake, on my way here, I looked on the internet the names of these banks and their sustainability claims. And one of them, I won't quote them to spare them their reputation. One declares itself as a reference player on corporate social responsibility. And the other one claims to be one of the top 10 companies in the financial sector as regard sustainability performance. So this just to illustrate that there is still some way to go to walk the talk. And that beyond voluntary approaches and nice public statements, there is still a lot to be done. So this is not to downplay the importance of the corporate social reporting. I mean, only 2,500 of the large EU companies, 42,000, I believe, only 2,500 are actually reporting their social and environmental performance regularly. So corporate reporting is extremely important. It exposes companies to public scrutiny, as I just did, and it has certainly, in the longer term, an influence on their behavior. But my main argument of today is not that. It is basically to say that corporate social responsibility is no longer a niche or a marginal market, nor a communication activity. It is the future of companies. It is the future of businesses. There is no other route. I mean, when Commissioner Potočnik started his mandate 5 years ago as environmental commissioner, he placed resource efficiency, what he called resource efficiency, at the heart of his mandate. It still is, for him, his main priority. And that was based on a diagnosis and a conviction. The diagnosis was that basically we are changing paradigm. We are changing era. The century trends of cheap and downward price of resources is over. Resources are becoming scarce and scarcer. We are entering in what was called the Great Acceleration with resource exploitation, the growing of population, and the accession to wealthy status of billions of newcomers over the years to come. So we certainly have to make sure that environment is no longer taken as a side consideration, but is the art of the business strategy. The economy and the environment are intrinsically linked for the future, and we need to move, and that was one of the commitments of Janusz Potocznik, we need to move towards a new form of economy, a circular economy, a green economy, where new business models appear and strive. So that was the diagnosis. The conviction is that this change that needs to be made can't be made against business. It has to be done with business. Business are might have been part of the problem, but they are certainly part of the solution. And one of the key priority objectives we have is to try and engage them very firmly in this sustainability objective. They need to factor in resource efficiency and the impact of their activities on the natural environment. They need also to factor in the resource-related risks. And a large number of them are taking this route. This is a growing phenomenon. Just again, it's being picked up by a number of business leaders and investors alike. Very recently in the Financial Times, there was an open letter of a group of large long-term investors totaling $3 trillion of investments, and they wrote an open letter to the oil industry, very topical in this country, warning them that the future decline in demand for oil due to climate change policies needed to be factored in their strategy, and therefore they had to also foresee that the price of their assets was going to be going down. But this is not only for the climate change or water sector or oil sector. It is true for all the sectors of the economy. What the public authorities then have to do is to accompany this movement, is to create a conducive framework for this change, is to remove potential barriers, to provide the right incentives, engage also in partnership with business and try to pass the message. We have to present sustainability increasingly not only as a potential risk, but also as a tremendous opportunity. This is true for large and small companies alike. And I take a striking example, which is a program which has been developed in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany to identify the resource improvements in SMEs and to help them engage in that. On average, the investments paid back within 2 years. So this shows that it is not only, again, a moral obligation or a constraint, but it makes business sense. It's a real source of growth and resilience for companies, and resource efficiency increasingly is material to business. But how do we integrate this in practice in the way companies function every day? The reflections that your conference are carrying out are certainly very, very useful and very topical in that respect. From the Commission side, we are striving to do what I just outlined as the public authorities' objective. We are taking a range of initiatives from trying to fight against environmentally harmful subsidies and to value the natural capital, to foster changes in the tax system towards more environmental taxation than labor taxation. But that is the sort of more general framework where we try to get the prices right. We try to make sure that the economic conditions for sustainable behavior are appropriate. But we are also looking at the social, the way companies operate. And not only do we have set up in 2001 proposed a strategy for corporate social responsibility, but there are two key proposals currently being discussed that are looking at that. And the one which is the most relevant, I think, is the disclosure of non-financial information by companies, which is currently in discussion in the institutions. And the Legal Affairs Committee of the Parliament will vote on it in mid-December. But still, it's quite hotly debated. Some countries are taking stance in order to water down the Commission proposal because they feel that it is creating an undue administrative burden on companies. Others would like to strengthen it, so the call is not, the jury is still out. But there are a number of also important discussions on where to put the thresholds, whether and how supply chains can be integrated, and which type of specific activities and impacts should be reported. We also have released very recently an initiative on the single market that we call the single market for green products, where in particular we propose to test two methodologies on first the environmental performance of products, and second, and this is more relevant, the environmental performance of organization. We propose to work together with business towards a common pan-European methodology. And we launched a call for this pilot operation, and we were quite pleasantly surprised by the response we received, which was of quite a high number and high quality. So we are going to test these methods over the next 3 years before then presenting a more formal proposal to the legislators. But these are just examples of what we are trying to do. We are going to produce again next year, put on the table together with our colleagues from DG Enterprise, the Enterprise Department, the Industry Department, a green action plan for smaller companies and entrepreneurship. We are also engaging with investors. And we have set up, well, Commissioner Potočnik has set up a financial roundtable, a resource efficiency financial roundtable to discuss these topics. And we are going to launch next year studies, this year still, and also next year's studies on fiduciary duty, on accounting rules and how they can be adapted to fit better the resource efficiency considerations, and also a study for a method to introduce resource stress tests for companies. I will conclude by saying that the Commissioner has also set up a platform, a high-level multi-stakeholder platform, the European Resource Efficiency Platform, who has published a manifesto last June and is looking now at long-term recommendation, and they will come out on the 31st of March next year at the last meeting of this platform, and I'm sure they will be of relevance to you. But I'm looking forward to the different proposals that you are going to formulate in this conference, and I hope that we will be able to take some of them forward in our legislative or non-legislative work. Thank you for your attention.